Good afternoon. This is a public hearing for open space tax program updates for farm and agricultural conservation lands, part of CPA 16 on the 2022-2023 Comprehensive Plan docket. It is May 2nd, 2023. It is 3:36 p.m. and I will be calling this public hearing to order. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Menser. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. And the purpose of this public hearing is to accept and consider public testimony on proposed updates to the farm and agricultural conservation land category of the board's open space tax program. This is a hybrid public hearing. Those wishing to testify have joined in person by Zoom, emailed comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select the Board of County Commissioners meetings, hearings, and work session agendas. The information to join this public hearing remotely has been posted there. If you do not wish to testify but would like to listen and follow along, please watch the live stream through the Thurston County YouTube channel to help us manage attendance. Ashley Rye will provide information on this topic. Assuming members of the public on Zoom wish to testify, the county manager will help me read your names out loud. You will have 4 minutes to testify. Time may not be given to another person. When you're called on, please state your name and address for the record, and we will review the timer. The public hearing is now open. Much louder. Ashley will now present background information of the proposal, written comments submitted, and any additional information requested by the board. Ashley?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Ashley Rye, Community Agricultural Program Manager. As mentioned, today's hearing is for updates to the open space tax program for farm and agricultural conservation lands eligibility criteria. The open space tax program is a tax incentive program run by the Board of County Commissioners. This program allows agricultural properties, including those that no longer qualify for the current use tax program run by the county's assessor's office, to qualify for continued property tax reduction. And this would be based on the reduced market value. This project is a key part of CPA 16. That's the community-driven review of agricultural policies and programs, and was identified as a priority in the 2021 Community Agriculture Survey for conservation program improvements. It is seen as a helpful tool for encouraging landowners to keep their property in farm use. Currently, only farms in agriculture zoning, or ones that are larger than 20 acres in size, can enroll. And here in Thurston County, where half the farms are smaller than 15 acres, and the majority of them are located outside of long-term ag, it does end up being pretty limited in terms of eligibility. The project goal was to expand the number of farms eligible to receive these tax incentives under the open space program by allowing smaller farms and ones outside long-term agricultural zoning to be eligible. Staff worked with the Agriculture Advisory Committee over 5 work sessions on this item between July of 2021 to January 2022 to develop the recommendation that you see. The board was briefed earlier this year on March 15, 2023, at which time staff was directed to set a public hearing. We've continually engaged our conservation partners and key agricultural stakeholders in the proposed update. They've expressed appreciation of the county's efforts to expand our conservation incentive programs to encourage landowners to keep their property in farm use. Since this morning, we've also received 2 comments in support of the current proposal, which should have been provided to you. Both members of the public also encourage the board to look at the fee structure for open space applications as part of future work. If the board wishes, they may take actions on the proposed updates following the close of this public hearing or at any regularly scheduled board meeting. And I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Was the Planning Commission involved in this process?
They were not. So the open space tax program falls outside of the Growth Management Act. And so there's only a requirement for 1 hearing before the board.
And Thurston County Conservation District, did they weigh in?
Yes, they did. They are ex officio members of the Ag Advisory Committee, so they played an integral role in the development of the recommendations.
And we're very much in favor of doing this, right?
Yes.
And this doesn't mean that we can't adjust other criteria at a later date, including maybe the fee structure or something on.
That is true. A broader open space tax program update can happen in the future, and I know there's a fee study underway, and the fee that's applied to the open space tax program applications would be part of that fee study.
Thank you. That's it for me, ma'am.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Menzer?
I'm curious whether was a higher minimum size considered, like 5 acres instead of 1 acre, or where did we come up with 1 acre?
That was actually the Agriculture Advisory Committee. When the conversation started, staff presented options in the range of 5 to 10 acres. And the Agriculture Advisory Committee indicated they can meet all the other requirements of ag use, and especially that commercial component of ag use, then they didn't feel it was necessary to have a minimum parcel size beyond what's required under state law.
So is this program like at a higher level? I mean, it's called open space, right? But it sounds to me like in terms of what's being attempted here isn't really about open space. It's about preventing conversion of ag land, even if it's let's say tiny. I mean, 1 acre is kind of small for ag, what we think of as ag land. So is that correct, what I'm saying? I mean, I don't think anyone would think about 1 acre as, preserving open space in Thurston County, I guess, unless somebody was gonna put a huge multifamily apartment complex on it or something. So it sounds like there's more goals to this program than just open space.
Yeah, I mean, it's the open space tax program has a whole public benefit rating system, and so the community benefit associated with protecting farm and agricultural conservation lands is that it is not converted into another use, that you don't have parcels that are further divided or developed with houses. The chances of a 1 acre parcel being, coming in and meeting the other requirements is probably fairly small, but the Agriculture Advisory Committee wanted to make the eligibility criteria as broad as possible.
Okay, yeah, because like even Ms. Sepinen, and I see she's probably gonna comment because she's on the Zoom, but her written comment said that more than half of all farm businesses operate on less than 20 acre farms. That's from farm census data from the Department of Agriculture. And on parcels 6 acres in size or less, it's kind of vague, based on Thurston County GIS analysis.
Yeah.
So that's just where I'm just like, well, what, 1 acre? I mean,
Yeah,
I get
so
that 20 is too high, but I just want to make sure we're not overreaching in some way.
Yeah, so the stats that are referenced there, the farm census stats, they are looking at whole farm. So one farm might have 3 parcels, 4 parcels. And for planning purposes, we just look at individual parcels that could comprise a larger farm. So if you just look at the parcels, like our agricultural parcels that make up the farms here in Thurston County, the median size is only 6 acres, so half of our agricultural parcels are less than 6 acres. And you can have a really successful market garden or, in direct sale kind of CSA on, a much smaller acreage than even 5. You can do that in 2, 3, or whatnot acres. So I think the Agriculture Advisory Committee, knowing all of this information, just wanted to make sure they weren't closing the door unnecessarily to someone that might be able to meet the other criteria.
And you said that it would be a challenge for a 1 acre parcel to meet the other criteria. Can you give an example?
There's
What would be hard for them to meet?
a commercial agriculture component. They have to be able to demonstrate that they are operating a commercial agriculture business. It doesn't have the same level of requirements necessarily required under the assessor's program, but they would have to meet that.
Okay, those are my questions.
Commissioner Menzer.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
So if, right, 1 acre is relatively small, but it wouldn't be uncommon to have 4 homes built on a 1 acre property because of the, 100 by 100 is still a fairly good lot to build a house on. So if there was a 1 acre parcel, they could maybe have a house on that on 1/4 acre and raise carrots or chickens or whatever they wanted to do on that substantial amount of property that's left though, right? And as long as they could raise that certain amount, I don't know what that amount is, but you could raise a lot of carrots on a half acre, for an example.
Yes, you can.
So, and I guess that's why they decided to do what they did, is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was just looking at if you have to pick between 1 and 5, and 1 is the minimum required under state law, then why not stick with that to allow for farms between 1 and 5 acres to be able to enroll? And they do, and I should mention, this is not an automatic enrollment. As you've been briefed recently on someone's proposal for inclusion in this program, every application goes through the Planning Commission, and there's a public hearing held before the Planning Commission for consideration to enroll in the program, as well as the board. So there will always be a board briefing and a hearing before the board before someone may enroll in this program. So if you get a proposal for something, for a 2-acre farm, and it doesn't look like it really meets the requirements, those decisions get made by the board.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. I feel like I've heard presentations in different little groups. And so I want to thank you for that engagement that you've done on this and the education that you've given out really and feedback you've received and, adapted from that. This is something that I've heard over the past years, the Ag Advisory especially talk about it and how there's not really a lot of engagement on it just because of the high acreage. So, it's great to have a program where a lot of our local farmers will be able to access. So just thank you for your work on this.
Thank you.
Actually, you highlight any public testimony we might have received, written or otherwise?
Oh, yeah, so those were the 2 written comments that were provided since this morning's agenda setting. And other than that, there were no other public comments submitted.
Yeah, it is a copy of the written testimonies in your packet, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no further questions or discussion, we'll move on to the public testimony, and I don't have anyone signed up on the sign-up sheet. Is there anyone in the boardroom that would like to provide public testimony? Okay, we'll move on to Zoom.
What I recognize is Ms. Loretta Sepnen. Would like to provide testimony, ma'am. Go ahead, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you. I appreciate your considering this proposal for a real improvement, one of many needed, a real improvement that will help preserve farmland. And in that case, it can include some pretty small acreages, as you discussed. That doesn't mean that the whole farm might be, the whole thing that the family member thinks of the farm might only be 1 acre, but they might have woodland that would go under a different open space category. And they might have wetlands and a variety of other things. But on their 1 acre, they can be, if they do intensive CSA agriculture, they can be making what they regard as a meaningful living. So, and this makes it a little bit more economical for them to continue to run that small farm business. But it also has ecological and sustainability benefits for every one of us. It's not just for the landowner, because it keeps that 1 acre out of turning into housing. And it is well shown that for sustainability and ecological reasons, having it in ag is better for our climate mitigation, better for our water, healthy water, to have it in agriculture than in houses. Once you've passed this, I say that there's more work you need to do, and Ashley mentioned it, and that's that the fee, which is quite high, that fee structure needs to be reduced, and I understand your staff is looking at that. I urge you to move on that very rapidly, or otherwise this change will not open the door for small farmers. It'll just be too costly that don't have $1,700 sitting around to pay the fee. And we, all of us, are benefiting. So some of our general fund dollars should be used to help pay this fee, in addition to what landowners should pay in as part of the fee. So thank you very much for moving ahead on this. I hope you'll move very swiftly on the fee issue.
Thank you.
And that will conclude public testimony.
Okay. So next item is discussion. Is there any items that commissioners would like to discuss at this time, or do they have any follow-up questions for Ashley?
No, I don't have any follow-up questions, and I'm prepared to move forward at this time.
Commissioner Menzer? Okay. Okay, and no questions or comments from me. Are we ready to close the public hearing?
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Are you ready to move forward on this item, or do commissioners need more time?
I'm ready to move forward on it.
Okay,
I move to approve a resolution amending the Thurston County Open Space Tax Program, Part 4, Section E, Priority Resource Eligibility Criteria, with changes to the eligibility criteria for farm and agricultural conservation lands and updates to data sources and references.
is there a second?
Yes, there is a second, but it doesn't, I suppose those changes are in another section? No, don't have to recognize that? Okay, second. I'm good.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay, it is 3:53. Thank you, Ashley. We are now adjourned.
Okay,